You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There, lady sings it. That makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you, but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as the rest of your family, because they know you, and we don't. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and ChrisVossFacebook.com, all those crazy places on the internet. Today we have an amazing young lady. We're going to be talking to her about her lifetime of insights, her depth of experience in the world of dating, relationships, romance, and all that sort of good stuff. If you call that good stuff, I suppose some people are like, oh, I don't like dating. But, you know, we're going to help you like dating, I think, when we're done with the show. Andrea Mcginty joins us on the show today. Her newest book has come out January 15th, 2025, called Second Acts. The world's leading online dating expert shares 166 practical, no-nonsense, step-by-step approaches to romance. Welcome to the show, Andrea. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Thanks for coming. They call you the godfather of modern dating. They
call me the godmother.
Godmother. I'm sorry. I have a computer camera right there where the mother starts. I
like the Godfather though. That was
one
of my favorite movies.
Yeah. You go on dates and you look at them across the table and you go, make me an offer I can't refuse. Or something. I don't know. But the godmother of modern dating releases Second Acts book, and she is a trailblazing founder of It's Just Lunch and the creator of 30,000 Dates, and I thought I was tired of dating. Wow, that's I've done 3-digit dating. I don't think I'm quite to the 33,000 yet, but there's still time. She has spent over 3 decades redefining modern matchmaking with over 33,000 setups and 10,000 plus marriages to her credit. That's pretty good. That's a 1 out of 3 ratio there. She now is turning her attention to helping singles with hands-on tech-savvy roadmap, defining love later in life in the digital era. I, of course, need more single dating hands-on. Oh! I don't know what that means. Her book has got over 14 actionable worksheets, QR codes with her personal videos to coach you, and 166 strategies to empower readers through her personal experience to take control of your love life, no matter how long you've been out of the dating game or how lame you are. I added the last part. Welcome to the show. How are you, Andrea?
Thanks. That was a great introduction.
We do a little shaming on the show. It's kind of what we do. So, welcome to the show. Give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
They can find me at 33,000dates.com, or you can find and it's 33000dates.com, or you can find my book everywhere books are sold. It's Second Acts: Winning Strategies for Dating.
There you go.
Over 50.
Now, is this your first book?
It's my second book.
Okay.
My other book was in the era of It's Just Lunchtime.
Ah, there you go. So let's get into it. Give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside your new book.
Well, you know what? It's pretty much everything I know, Chris. So I think I have one book in me, and it just wanted to come out. And I take a very direct, strategic approach to dating with my clients that I work with, and it's a very business oriented look at dating. And dating, of course, is so personal, and it can be pretty emotional too. So my book really takes you through 166 different tactics. But what's unique about it is that there are QR codes throughout the book that give you a little more from me, almost like personal coaching. But then there's worksheets. So there's all kinds of worksheets from what's your mindset, and it runs you through, are you really ready to do this right now, to what's your brand? And developing your brand, and you have to be a little bit of a promoter and an influencer, to be online. To kind of the climax of the book is the personal business plan for dating. So I have you write a personal business plan, and it's fun. It sounds kind of weird that you're writing a business plan for your personal life, but you got to know where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, you really do.
Yeah.
You really do. To me, dating is about a healthy mindset. And, there's so many people and I think it's gotten worse because people just want everything handed to them. I'm not going to complain about millennials and Gen Z right now, but anyway. It's a thing where you have to have a good mindset. You have to realize it's a numbers game, especially these days. And it's... I still meet people and have people in our dating groups. We have a big dating group, so I think people know that by now in the podcast. But it's like they want to go on like 2 dates and find the love of their life and then just get married. And that like they think that it's that easy. Like I just need to go meet 1 or 2 people and I'll find what I'm looking for. And you're like, no, it's a numbers game. You're gonna have to run the numbers, and anything you want in life that has any value, you have to dig for diamonds and dig for gold. Anything you have to do involves a bit of work, and otherwise it wouldn't be valuable. I mean, how valuable would love be if it wasn't so hard to find, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And you're right too, Chris, because it is a numbers game. And I don't think people really appreciate that enough when they get online and start dating. And we can talk a little bit about mindset too later, but just the numbers for a minute. I have a log sheet in my book where I have people keep track of how often they went online, how many messages they sent, and then how many replies they got back, and then how many dates they went on. And on average, for every 5 messages you send online, you get 1 reply. And then for every 10 messages that you've sent online, it's about 1 date. So people will tell me, oh, I'm online all day. It's a full-time job. I can't believe it. But then when I give them this tracking sheet, that's not even true. They're going online, they're looking at like 2 people, and then they're like, I want, instant gratification, and they hop off. So that's part of it. And then, you're right. The other part is mindset. It's where are you at mentally? And, you might have come out of a divorce. You might be single. I get young widows, that are in their 50s. And I say young because that is young. And are you able to go out on dates and not talk about your ex and not talk about the custody battle you went through and not talk about a child you're estranged from? How positive can you be, on a date? And I'm not saying fake it, but when you kind of go through my quiz in 10 points, you'll kind of realize, maybe I'm not ready for this, or I definitely am.
Yeah, I think there's people that need to do that. I learned as a rule of being single, and I don't know what your rules are, but my rule is, and I copy this from a lot of people, is we don't date anybody who's 2 years out of a divorce. I mean, unless you want the crazy stuff, the revenge sex, it's fun to date those people, but usually, they're not in a good mindset. It takes a year or 2 for me, in my opinion. They need to go through the grief process of the loss of identity, and then they need to figure out who they are. And then usually after about 2 years, they've gone through that process. They've wandered through the desert. But a lot of people just hop from relationship to relationship. They never fix where they're broken. They just go use up another person until that person figures out, how much they lied or how full of shit they were, or what they hid in the skeleton closet. And then once that person finds that out, they just jump from relationship to relationship. That's what I see a lot in dating now.
Right. And that's exactly what you don't need. And, part of the reason I wrote this book is I work with clients that, are maybe right out of divorce. And sometimes I say, you know what, you're not ready. I'm not even going to take you out as a client right now. Now, on the other hand, part of the reason I wrote this book too is because I've lived all this. I was married for 24 years. divorced, and I did not jump back into dating. And part of it was, I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And look what I do. I mean, this is what I've done since I was 20 years old. I mean, my first people that I ever set up were two of my college roommates, and they're still married. So, I did not jump back in. I took like a 3-year break, not really intentionally. I guess I just knew I needed, the time out. And plus, you have other things to deal with, kids that are teenagers that really don't, they need their mom during, or their dad during this, period too of what they're going through as well. But when I was ready, and I knew I was ready. And, I jumped right back in with, and it was like 3 years after my divorce, with a great attitude. And the other thing was that I did, and I think I don't really have rules, but one complaint that I get a lot from men is they can't stand when they just get likes or winks or smiles or, all that kind of stuff from women, a heart and no message. And so the first thing I did when I was online, I reached out to everyone that I thought looked interesting. And my personal first week dating, now this is a mistake and I don't recommend it to people. I went on 5 first dates. I mean, my head was like, a mess by the end of it, because I was like, oh my gosh, who did I talk to? What did I even talk to these people about? I can't even remember them. Yeah. But you know what it did? It gave me a lot of confidence, and they were kind of practice dates too. Yeah. And I realized, wow, I can still talk. I've still got a vibe. It was fun. By the third first date, I was having fun.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, a bit of practice dating. One of the things I always tell people, and you can tell me what your thoughts are on this, is build your social graph first, build your friends base. And out of that is a great way to find dating referrals. Like, people refer you and be like, hey, you want to date my sister? Or, whatever. But just having that good, healthy friends graph, going out and doing things. I've done lots of coffee dates, and and a lot of times, sometimes I'm halfway through the coffee date and I'm like, I can't invest in this. There's too many liabilities, maybe too many red flags, too many problems. And what I'll do is I'll just make a friend. I'll just think of it as making a friend. And so I'll just be like, okay, well, just think of this now as a practice date. So just practice being interesting, practice being funny, practice, entertaining, and, let the other person have a good time. When we leave, then that's it. But still, just think of it as practice dating. And I think a lot of people, they don't practice, number one. I mean, they don't. Going on dates and getting good. To me, being good at dating also contributes to you being good at relationships, because you're going to keep that sort of dating mindset where you're going to keep going out. You're going to keep thinking, hey, I need to still woo this person just because they're my girlfriend or my wife or my husband or boyfriend. You keep working at, that making that relationship, because I think that's when most marriages fails, when they really stop dating each other, right? And they just start you're like roommates.
Right. Yeah. And you're right about the practice dating, and what you just told me, your story about the coffee date. That just illustrates somebody who has a positive mindset too. So you're thinking like halfway through this date, there's absolutely no way. Well, I'm just going to be me and make another friend. So I totally agree with you. Build up that make sure you have a good social network, because so much of that, I've just been reading this University of Michigan study that says that the number one thing for longevity in life, in a healthy life, it's not the working out and it's not the eating healthy, but it's having people around you that you love and they love you back. Yeah. So, that could be a romantic relationship, which most people want, that as a part of the equation, but just people around you, that are part of your, support. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can rely, somewhat on that friend network or, pickleball or, those kind of things to meet some people too. And there's also great meetups, but, only do a meetup if you're really interested in what they're doing. Like if they're hiking at Red Rock in Vegas and you hate hitchhiking. Like, don't do it. You know, I had one woman who was going to like the driving range like 3 nights a week and to meet men, and she's like, and I just hate golf. I just hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I'm like,
hate golf, and you're dating guys who are golfers.
Then don't do it. Yeah. Why are you doing something like that? And then, so your friend group is one way, but I am a huge proponent, and this is after, starting It's Just Lunch, and this is 1990. There's no Google, there's no online dating. And it was basically, a dating service, a matchmaking service. And I grew it from one location in Chicago to 110 locations worldwide. And when I sold it, about 10, 15 years ago, it was primarily because I saw the writing on the wall, what was going on with the internet. It was getting better and better. There's 1,400 dating sites out there. Most of them, no. But you know what? The top 50, yes. There are some good, and they're getting so much better with like filters and algorithms and getting rid of the scammers and the bots. So, I really saw where the future was. And, that's why I jumped into this with coaching and helping people, find relationships online.
Yeah. And you launched, you were the founder of It's Just Lunch. Is that correct?
Yes. I was the founder of It's Just Lunch. Yep.
Dating for busy professionals.
Yep.
There you go. I mean, I'm an old world dater, and like I said, I'm kind of a historian, unfortunately, for dating. I saw a lot of the different changes that kind of happen with our society. What are your thoughts on hookup culture? Hookup culture is really dominant in today's dating sphere, annoyingly so, in my opinion. But I'm an old world freak.
I don't know about that. With the 50 and 60 something group, like I would say if we're talking about the 20s and 30s and Tinder and Hinge and stuff like that, yes, I would agree with that. But when I work mostly with the 45 to 65-year-old age group, and I don't see the hookups. I see people looking for one of three things. They're either looking for a long-term relationship, they're looking for somebody, maybe to live with, and some are looking for marriage. So, that 45 to like 55, 60-year-old crowd, that a lot of them, they're my second acts. They're the people that, get married again. Now, people in their 60s tend to not care as much about, marriage, and they're looking for that long-term relationship, somebody to travel with, somebody to do things with, that kind of relationship, but an exclusive relationship.
Yeah. So do you advise people, to men and women, to use dating apps? Because women, I mean, they can rock on dating apps and just about anywhere, Instagram, Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. But men really don't get a lot of responses on dating apps. What's your advice on that?
Oh, yes, they do. You have to be on the right dating app, because dating apps are very funny, because they will skew one way or the other, either female or male. So, for example, Chris, Bumble. Bumble is 75% women. My male clients do great, and half my clients are men.
Really?
They do great on Bumble, and that's pretty much across the U.S. And a lot of it, well, there's a lot more to it. Men make a lot of mistakes too. They have bad pictures, like really bad pictures, and they don't really write anything, or they have a
you don't like my pictures of fish where I'm holding fish and stuff? Chicks love that.
Fish in their bathrooms taking a picture by inside their car. I'm like, what? Like what don't they get here? So you want to have like really, really good pictures, because it's a visual medium. So if you're not getting a good response and you're a guy out there, I take a hard look at your photos, and here's what I would do. I would show them to 3 or 4 of your women friends or your sisters and ask them what they think of the pictures.
That's a good idea.
Because they will give you some, they're going to be hard hitting with their comments, right?
I hear a lot about the fish and the hunting photos from women. They're like, stop doing that. Guys.
Stop doing that. And then, the men will complain, and women shouldn't do this. You shouldn't be posting a photo of yourself from 10 years ago or 15 pounds ago. post a current photo. You want to go out on this date and have, good results, and you don't want them to be surprised that, oh, you don't look anything like your photo.
Yeah. What do you think about, I don't know how much you talk about this in your book. I just got it yesterday. What about filters? Filters is a huge problem in the business, this filters thing. And especially, well, in the older women, it's filters because younger women don't need them. But the filters are just crazy now. Like it is sheer catfishing. And we've had this discussion in my group a number of times. I mean, I have some women that take their filtering so hard, they look like cartoons. Like you're like, are you trying to look like some sort of Disney thing? What's going on? Like, and they trying to look 20 years younger and stuff. What are your thoughts on filters and stuff?
Okay, here's my thought. What I really see going on, and I immediately tell a client no, is it's AI they're using now. So they're AIing themselves. So everything from slimming their waist to their face starts to look, and they can even enlarge their eyes. I'm like, no, you look like a cartoon. Don't do that. That's absolutely ridiculous. So look your best for the photos.
Yeah.
But no, you don't need filters, and you shouldn't be using filters.
Yeah. What we see is,
You don't need to. You know what you need? If you're doing stuff like that, you need more confidence, which means you need more practice dates. And practice dates will give you that confidence.
There you go. It's some what we're seeing, and this is fairly typical, is a lot of Chad chasing going on. So if you look at the numbers of what's going on in most dating apps, I don't know about Bumble, but on most dating apps, you have women who've set their search settings to where they're only getting maybe 5% of the top quality men in the world. So they're adjusting for height and other actions, but mostly for height and then income, college, et cetera, et cetera. And so what they're doing is they're only getting the top men. And then what I'm finding is a lot of women that are very masculine and very in their 40s and 50s and stuff, they're trying to date down, and they're kind of addicted to this hookup culture of Chad chasing. And so that's where we see a lot of the AI being used and the filtering being used to try and make themselves look 20 years younger, because they're still on the Chad train, and they're still trying to chase those Chads around. And that's kind of where we're seeing most of the filtering going. I mean, a lot of the counseling that I give to men is, if you see filtering, just left swipe it. Just don't even support that at all.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah. I would have to say that I'm seeing less and less of that, but it's still out there.
Less and less of the AI stuff?
No, less and less of like the filters being used for the top 5%. I'm all about like, yes. I mean, if there's something that's really important to you, you've got 3 post grads and blah, 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 and that's super important to you. Yeah. Then set the filter for, the education thing. I don't get too much pushback from women on height of men. I really don't get too much of that. I mean, the average man in America is 5'9.5".
Yeah.
The average woman is 5'4.5". So most women, will, I'm 5'9". I probably date, down an inch or two and, up. So I don't really see that being a problem. So I think maybe what they need more is just like an attitude adjustment.
Well, you said it, I didn't. So I'm not getting in trouble if I say it. She said it, folks, not me. You need an attitude adjustment. No, it's for what I'm seeing in our marketplace is a lot of hookup culture dominates the market. It's about 95% of the dating market. About 90% of men, 85% of men are not dating. They're sitting on the fence. And then we host meetups, and so we host in-person events. And when we have access to 4,000 to 5,000 people, we can barely get 100 people out, and people just won't meet up. They just don't want to come out. They don't want to I don't know if they're too scared. I think that's part of it. People seem to have a lot of meetup anxiety from COVID. I think COVID really hurt us as a society or as a humanity, where we stayed inside and we lost a lot of our social skills. And it seems like a lot of people have lost those in-person social skills, doing remote work and COVID and social media's kind of driven everybody away from each other to where, everyone's looking at phones instead of talking to each other. And so that seems to be a real issue to me, because a lot of these dating apps, they really don't work with the Amazon. I call it the Amazon effect, where people are shopping online for people, and a lot of times they're just shopping for looks, really. And they think they can just order like the perfect date or the perfect boyfriend or girlfriend, just like you order the perfect product off of Amazon. And although we need to have reviews, I think, but that.
Yeah, so I think where we get caught there is with the instant gratification that we've experienced with Amazon. Wait, what do you mean it's not going to come between 4 and 8 today? What do you mean? I have to wait till tomorrow? That's so ridiculous. So some of that mindset, of course, goes over into, every part of our life. We want it now. We want it now. And I think one thing to keep in mind, you've got to go into the online dating with a 3-month commitment that you're really going to do this. You're really going to try. You're going to go out on dates. You're not going to have expectations on the dates, meaning you're not high. You're not going to have low expectations. And then just remember, a lot of it's going to be perseverance and resilience, because last year, this is actually 2023 and 2024, 40% of people that got married over the age of 45 met online. Oh. So when you say it doesn't work, what did those numbers just say to us? People are getting married, and 60% are getting married somewhere else. Good for them. But if you don't have the access to the men, that many men or that many women, hey, 40% are getting married online. Mm-hmm. So that, I don't know. I like those stats.
Yeah. Well, so 40% of people who got married from being online. Is that?
Yeah.
Do I have that correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So people are still somehow 60% of the time getting married on the thing. I wish someone would track like how long these last, like dating online, meeting online lasts to meeting in person. The in-person thing I really miss. Before Sex and the City came out, my conversations with women were what kind of man I would be, what kind of father I would be, what kind of earner I would be. And there would be a vetting process, and we would go on 2 or 3 dates to get to know each other. And, sometimes the first date, maybe everyone's nervous. I'm not, but maybe she's nervous, and maybe you're just not clickety. You're not clicking, or maybe things. It feels a little off because you're strangers. So, but of course, in my day, you got her number from the club. So you had met her, you knew what she looked like, you knew you were attracted to her, you knew that she was probably attracted to you if she said yes to a date, and gave her your number, the real one. But normally there would be this vetting process. Well, I've got people now that they won't even go on a coffee date with somebody, and they're just gearing off of what they see in pictures. And to me, that's really challenging. Number one, men are very visual in that sense in what they choose, but women are very pliable in their nature, where they can meet a guy and be like, well, he's not the hottest guy in the world, but then she can go, well, he's funny, he's interesting, he's successful, he seems like he's a good leader. And as women get to know him, they can become more pliable to them. If you understand how human nature is designed, it's designed that way on purpose. And so, but people never get a chance to get to know each other. And so a lot of what we see now is we see everyone chasing the top 5% of men, and somehow expecting that somehow that's going to work out for everybody. And clearly, if you do the math, if 95% of the women are chasing 5% of the men, about 90% of them are going to be left to cat lady syndrome.
Yeah, but Chris, to that point, I think women would say the exact opposite when it comes to, the top 5% of women are getting, all the good men. So, you hear those things, and that's just because people aren't having success. Or let's put it bluntly, they're doing something wrong too. They're doing something wrong. And then let's go back to your point about, divorce. Are people getting divorced more when they meet online? Well, we go back to like our age group, so let's go back to people who got married, in the 90s or late 80s, 90s. So those people now are in their 50s and 60s. So 48% of those people have been divorced.
Wow.
And they met in person, right? There was no online dating when they met. So I don't think it really matters if if you meet them online, you meet them at a meetup, you meet them, Whole Foods grocery store, you meet them. I don't think it matters.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the younger crowd, I'd be interesting too on that 40% that marry online. Right now, the 20 to 30-year-olds, they rule the roost when it comes to the dating apps. They seem to be doing well on them. I constantly get conversations in our group. We have this group graph that shows the 10-year things of our deal. One of the things that the 50-year-olds run into is the availability of people and population. I don't know if you plumbed that stat with some of your data and stuff, but at 50, men die at twice the rate of women, almost twice the rate of women throughout our lives. And when we hit 50, we go full on double. The hammer just goes down for us. We just die from, I don't know, all the stress women put us through.
Oh my God.
I'm just doing the jokes, people. Come on. We do hard jobs. We do jobs that sometimes are we do the most dangerous jobs in the world, really, when it comes down to it, data-wise. And so we die a lot. And women have better DNA. They're designed to stick around because we need to propagate the species. So we always need the womb. But we die faster. And one of the problems, it seems like we have, at least from what we've seen in our dating groups, is there's not a lot of 50 to 60s that are single and on the market. I think out of my dating groups of 3,200 people, there's only about 4% that are 50 and older, 5% that are 50 and older seeking.
Of what do you mean, men?
Of population of men, yeah, and women.
Well, that makes total sense to me, though, Chris, because they're not going to come out the way women will come out. Women will come out to those types of things that you're hosting or having much more than men will. A trend also that I've seen in the last 5 years is women in that 50 to 60-year-old age group are tending to date about 5 to 8 years younger. And partly because they look good, partly because they've got the energy level and they can. So there's not as much of a stigma. It used to be, the men would date 10 or 15 years younger. But let's face it, when we're like in our 50s and the men are in their 50s, they've probably already had kids and they're not looking to have kids. The women have probably already had kids, and at this point they're not going to have kids, most likely. So the goals are different. So dating younger, I've got one client right now who's 64 and she only dates up to 55, and men up to 55, and she's doing great with the men and getting no pushback on age.
Yeah, there you go. What are some of the other things we want to maybe tease out on your book, on strategies and different tools you have that's in there?
Well, I think a couple of things, you make sure you're taking really good care of yourself, stay in shape, get a manicure, get your teeth whitened or take care of your teeth. Those maybe it sounds stupid, but when you're online and as you pointed out, it's a very visual medium and you do want to look, your absolute best. And the other thing I would say is you want to be a little quirky online. And quirky does not mean weird. Quirky, when I say quirky, I'm talking about, maybe your bio or little profile, that you might have on Hinge or Match or wherever, but, that is really interesting. And it's not like, hi, I'm looking for XYZ and I am ABC, because those are really, really boring. Okay, that jumps right over to the messaging part, because that's where a lot of people lose traction, because their messages are, I already covered the part about, just sending likes and stuff. But the other part is men will send really stupid texts like, hey, beautiful, or hey, you look hot in that picture. I'm like, really? That's like so stupid. Or women will send a message like, hey, how's your weekend? Like, does anyone really want to answer a vanilla question like that? So, read over their bio or their profile, or look at their photos, because photos will tell you a lot, whether they're skiing or they're kayaking or, whatever they're doing. You can do a lot better messaging people that way.
Yeah.
And
showing interest in them, right? And knowing,
showing interest in them. And then the other thing I would say too is, we don't have our hormones exploding like we did at 20 when we see somebody and like the chemistry is like boom, So I say sometimes it can take up to 3 dates to figure out whether or not there's chemistry. So you go on a date, you're like, I liked him, but I don't know. If you are in doubt at all, go out again. So in doubt, go out. Second date.
I thought you said endowed for a second there.
In what?
I thought you said endowed for a second there.
Oh, no.
If you're in doubt.
If you are in doubt, go out.
If you're in doubt, go out.
But
really, that's a good thing to have. If you're in doubt, go out. Try and see if maybe you click again.
Right. But you know what? Don't go past 3 dates, because then you're wasting your time. I would
say 2 too. I mean, if you're not kind of clicking by date 2, maybe, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I could buy that too. Yeah. But especially after their first date, if you're not sure, I always encourage people to go on another date. And then I also encourage people, don't jump into exclusivity either. People jump too fast, and they'll go on 3 dates with a person and they'll be like, oh, Andrea, I don't want to see anyone else. This is it. We're going to have a long-term relationship. And I'll say, well, does she feel the same way? Oh, I don't know. Is she still online? I don't know. That conversation, and by the way, don't force that conversation either. That conversation will come out naturally without saying, hey, want to get exclusive with me? It'll just come out. So don't push it.
Don't push it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the things you offer on your website. You've got some cool things on here. You can find your dating score for guys and ladies. And tell us about some of the other offerings you have here.
Yeah, if go on 33,000dates.com and take the dating quiz, because it gives us a lot of information, and we get back to you pretty fast with a dating score of how you're doing. So that's really helpful. Another thing on my site, where I'm primarily doing coaching, but I also offer another thing where you can send us up to 4 photos, and we'll rate the photos of and not of other people, of yours, and give you, some feedback like this is good or no, get rid of all, burn all those photos. So that type of thing. And then I write a column about 3 times a week, and it's just full. It's on my blog. It's full of dating advice, and I write for some publications too. But it's full of, everything from red flags and new things that are coming on the market, that maybe you didn't know about. So I really try to stay ahead of trend, and what's going on. And sometimes I just talk to my male clients, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about the top, 5 or 6 things you're looking for in a woman, and write columns about something like that too.
And
of course, my books on there too, but you have to buy my book.
There you go. And people can reach out to you for a free 15-minute call, it looks like, too, as well.
Yes. Yes. You know what that 15-minute call does is it's a chance for you to meet me, and then it's a chance for me to meet you too and talk with you a little bit and see if I think we're a good fit to work together, because I'm basically a life coach for dating, and I'm here to help you. And there's people that I've said, I don't think you're quite ready yet. I've been here for 30 years. I'll be here next year. Maybe you need another 3 or 6 months from your divorce, or, losing your spouse, or, a relationship ending. You might need a little bit more time. Or I'll say, hey, you're a great fit. This is what we're going to do. This is the program, and let's, rock and roll.
There you go. Well, Andrea, give people a final pitch on as we go out to onboard with you, reach out to you, .coms, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Andrea, give us a final reach out, final pitch out to people on where they can reach out to you, .coms, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. You can reach out to me at 33000dates.com, 33000dates.com. That's how many setups I've done in my life. Actually, it's more than that. And you can also text me from my phone number is also on the site too. So if you have questions, and then you can also sign up for a 15-minute talk with me. And then, of course, I'm on social media at 33,000 Dates on Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn, everything, TikTok. You can find me everywhere.
There you go. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. This was fun. It was fun to hear your viewpoints, too.
It was fun. Hopefully this helps people. A mindset in dating is so important. Order up her book wherever fine books are sold, folks. Second Acts, the world's leading online dating expert, shares 166 practical, no-nonsense, step-by-step approaches to romance. Thank you for coming on the show. Thanks, audience, for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And that should have us out.